Coming up on TekThing, Dell XPS 13 Kaby Lake Refresh, we've got a review. Amazon's all-new Echo. Should you upgrade from your Echo 1.0? Security upgrades for an anonymous team, and what happened to HP's archives in that big fire? It's all coming up on TekThing. Thank you, patrons. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you each and every week. Join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
Yes, yes we do. And I can't review it yet. This is, actually there's a video here, the Star Wars Jedi Challenge.
Ooh.
Yeah, Lenovo's actually doing this. It is augmented reality for a phone, and it comes with a lightsaber. And when my children see this, it's gonna really complicate my lifestyle, but you know, as long as I can keep them from swinging this near the breakables in the house.
Yeah.
I bring this up because I was looking for some information. Here, hold the lightsaber.
Thanks.
I was looking for some information on the Star Wars Jedi Challenge when I got an email from the crew over at OSSIX.
Oh.
OSSIX 10 or OSSIX X.
What are they doing?
Okay, these are the 3D audio headphones that I backed a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love Kickstarter. It's like gambling where you might get cool hardware.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I've
had a 66% success rate of the 3 things that I have backed on Kickstarter.
Really?
So 2 out of the 3 actually shipped.
Good to know.
Yeah.
That whole concept of like Kickstarter is gambling, totally stole that from Penny Arcade's Tycho. But I've been thinking about it, right? Because the OSSIX 3D headphones I expected this summer, I mean December 2016 or January 2017, are now targeting shipment in early 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're trying to perfect it. It's complicated technology, blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to instantly calibrate to your skull. Well, it's like the distance between your ears dramatically impacts in your ability to perceive 3D audio. It's a long story.
Okay.
It gets boring really quickly.
This is why you do the audio reviews.
You know, I checked right before we started the show. I've actually gotten everything I've backed on Kickstarter so far, but more often than not, it's been a year or more late. And I bring that up because I love the idea of Kickstarter and Indiegogo and group funding. You make this show possible by group funding us through Patreon, so I am a big believer in group funding.
Yes.
But it's like, it's kind of crazy sometimes. Hardware is hard.
Yes, yes it is. I can speak straight from a manufacturing perspective. It's very hard to build products and get them funded and get the FCC certifications if you need that, or whatever certs you need to be able to ship worldwide. It's a very, very hard process.
To sell it legally.
So yeah, to sell it legally. And I'm not surprised that a lot of these companies don't actually end up shipping a product, because there's a lot more information that goes into it than just collecting the money and distributing a product.
Yes.
A lot more information.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Kickstarter's been getting better about sort of, vetting things, because there was a pretty big sort of we're doing an amazing, super awesome drone, and nobody got nothing.
Yep.
I don't know. So I'm curious, do you ever support stuff in Kickstarter or Indiegogo? What's the thing you're most excited about, or what's been your biggest disappointment? Comment down below or send an email, ask@tektthing.com. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. Amazon Echo 2.0, the solution to all the things that need to observe. Okay, Amazon Echo 2.0, 2 questions. 1, should you upgrade if you already have an Amazon Echo 1.0? And does this make the Amazon Echo experience so compelling that even people who resist voice control of their homes like me want to take it home and keep it forever? I'm feeling a little dramatic.
Well, it is
today.
very aesthetically pleasing, I will say that much.
Yeah, there's a certain sort of like hipster thing that's been
totally
co-opted
hipster
by the Google Home Mini Rock and the Amazon Echo 2.0.
It's very true. So the newest 2nd generation Echo just started shipping, and it is cheaper than the original at $99.99 instead of $199.99.
That's a huge drop. It's basically a 50% drop in price.
Yes, it is. And it comes in a whole bunch of different colors. So if you check out the website over here, you can get it in either charcoal, sandstone, or this heather gray fabric. You can also get these like soft plastic feels for silver, oak, or walnut. And then for a $20 upcharge, those plasticky ones cost a little bit extra. So you get $119.99 for
Faux
those.
wood grain, genuine faux wood grain.
Yeah, so I went with the heather gray myself because it looks really nice against like a granite countertop. So the second generation is missing that nice control ring like you have on the original, which I absolutely prefer the ring as opposed to buttons on the top. I think it's more aesthetically pleasing myself, but it is replaced by those plus and minus buttons. The colors remain the same as you just noticed, I'm sure.
You mean the LED colors?
Yeah, the LED colors. So it's still orange whenever you first boot it up and you go through the setup, and it is still that light blue and darker blue whenever you're talking to it. So if I say, and mute your Alexas, Alexa, what time is it?
It's 9:39 a.m.
And then I changed this name because they won't work together at the same time. Computer, what time is it?
It's 9:39 a.m.
So you can see that both of them still have those same colors. As far as the sound quality goes though, it does lose that 2-inch tweeter and bass reflex port of the original, but it is replaced with a 0.6-inch upward firing tweeter in the second one and a downward firing 2.5-inch subwoofer. Even with the smaller tweeter though, the audio quality is basically the exact same for your average user unless you listen to music, and that's the one thing I will say about this. You will notice some lack of bass, but honestly, for me, and I'm kind of a bass fan, it's not something that makes me grumble, especially because this is a $100, well, I don't use it as a Bluetooth speaker, to be honest. I just use it to talk to it. I've just never considered the Amazon Echo to be a high-grade music speaker.
It's not.
It's about the same as any other $100 Bluetooth speaker on the market.
It's worse.
Dolby processing also adds in crisp vocals and bass on the speaker, but even with the Dolby upgrades, the music sound quality is obviously lacking compared to the first generation one. I mean, just look at the size. Obviously, that one's going to be a little less good.
Well, you would hope, right?
Yeah. Since I have invested in Sonos over the years and they have recently updated to integrate with Echo, I now use the Sonos speakers exclusively for music with the Amazon Echo. So I just talk to the Echo and then the music streams out of the much better speakers. I don't even use this as a music speaker.
I approve. That's all I gotta say.
Right, exactly. It does all of the same voice-controlled assistance as the other Echo devices, so nothing has changed there. You're already fairly used to it with all my previous reviews. It has 7 microphones and noise cancellation so that I can hear you from anywhere in the room, just like the previous ones. From my testing, its response time is almost exactly the same as the original Echo as well, including the setup time too and boot up time. So no changes there either.
What time is it?
The time is 10:01 a.m.
It also has Bluetooth and a 3.5mm out for connections with other devices, so if you have a Bluetooth speaker that you want to connect this to, you totally can, and you can just use that 3.5mm jack super easy. It also has calling capability, which I opted out of, and drop-in ability, which is defaulted to on when you first set up these Echo devices, so you have to turn that off manually in the application.
For those
Keep
of us
that
who
in
have
mind.
forgotten, does drop-in mean anybody who's your friend can just start talking out of the speaker?
Yeah, basically, anybody that you approve.
Could be a bug, could be a feature. You make the call.
It's a total bug to me. Unlike the first Echo, this one does not have a remote. If y'all recall, the first one had a little remote, and I stuck it on my fridge, and
Forgot about it.
I never use it. I didn't even bring it in today because I forgot it exists. So it probably is a minor cost cutting there, and it gives them the ability to sell this one for $100 less.
It's also Amazon, so they know exactly what you're doing with everything, and they
Yeah.
probably realize nobody uses it, so why put it in the box?
Since this one is half the price of the original when that one came out, I think that it is still a really good deal. You could get this one instead of the Plus if you don't need the hub capability and you don't mind a minor step down in the audio quality. For example, they have a nice little listing on the site for the Amazon Echo where it shows you the differences in the quality for each one. So this is a 0.6 tweeter and the Plus is a 0.8 tweeter. You could also just get the little dot if you wanted to. So you just want something to talk to and you don't necessarily care care about using it as a speaker, because the Dot doesn't have a subwoofer in it, so obviously you're going to lack that bass.
The Dot's probably, especially if you don't plan on listening to music on it, the Dot seems the way to go to me.
Oh yeah, totally. I would agree. There are other options as well, like the Eufy Genie, which is $35 that I reviewed previously. The Sonos One, which just came out from Sonos, which is Echo enabled, and that one is $200. Yes, they did. Finally! But you can also use that with your previous Sonos 2 through the software application. There are a few others, but I haven't reviewed those, so I can't really say anything about whether they're good or bad, unless you want the fancy new designs.
Okay.
Like this one has right here, and it is very, very pretty. It's very aesthetically pleasing. I love saying that word today.
Aesthetically pleasing.
You don't really need to upgrade. There's no reason to upgrade. The changes between the original and the second generation are very, very minimal, except for that downgrade in sound, which you definitely get from this one. So honestly, it's not worth the upgrade if you already have this one and you don't need a second one. If this is your first introduction to Amazon Echo devices, it's a great middle ground of great price and great Echo device. But if you want to listen to music, I would say stick with this one or probably want to go with the Echo Plus.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have voice control in your home? Are you considering it? Are you thinking Amazon or Google? Let us know. Tweet at Snubs or at Patrick Norton or at TekThing. We'll be listening.
So will Amazon.
Do you want a faster laptop?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, bet you do too. It's easy. Just wait for a new CPU with a healthy boost in performance and add more RAM.
Oh, that's all.
That's it. Basically a new laptop, right? Which actually brings me to this Dell XPS 139360 with the Kaby Lake Refresh, aka the 8th generation Core i7-8550U. Which is really exciting because we're talking about 4 cores and 8 threads, twice what the previous models had of the Intel CPUs. This is very good for apps that use all the cores, i.e. intensive computing. So if I look at this next to my trusty long-suffering Dell XPS 139350, aka the laptop that has been sitting in front of you in every episode for quite some time, outside of the CPU update, more RAM, and a fingerprint scanner that's right here below the keyboard, these are the same laptops, 3200 by 1800 touchscreens, 2x USB 3.0, USB-C port, Thunderbolt 3, a good keyboard, and the darn video conferencing camera on the bottom of the screen, which gives you
no surprise there.
Yeah, well, the video conferencing camera is right there.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting like here...
We know how you feel about this.
Sorry, I'll just pass on that. The fingerprint scanner is cool. But between like Microsoft's facial recognition and the fact that I'm pretty good at typing in passwords, I'm saying I'd probably skip the fingerprint scanner.
Save some money, just not get it.
I'm cheap. I'm cheap, I'll be honest with you.
Aren't we all?
Well, yeah, you know, this is a pretty badass laptop. It's not the least expensive laptop out there, but it's an ultra portable, again, with a QHD screen, the 8th generation Core i7-8550U, 16 gigs of 2133 megahertz RAM, a 512 gigabyte NVMe hard drive, and a cost of approximately $1,854.99.
Woo, a little pricey.
A little pricey, but this is a power user configuration that is pretty souped up, and I would dare say I would be comfortable editing video on this. Not as comfortable as on a desktop, because a desktop with a giant fan on the processor will stomp
my
it.
Razer Blade was about $2,000, and that one is specifically for video editing. So if I could get that out of a smaller machine like that.
Not going to get the GPU performance because there is no discrete graphics inside of this.
True.
So if you don't want to spend all the money, take a look at Dell's XPS 13 webpage. They start at $700.99, which is really, really tempting, right? It's got a Core i3-7100U and, 4 gigabytes of RAM.
Ooh, 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah,
okay.
so here's the thing. Trust me, you're going to want at least 8 gigabytes of RAM to run Windows comfortably. And since the RAM is soldered on the motherboard inside the Dell XPS 13, you need to buy the RAM you're going to have for the life of the laptop.
You can't upgrade it. Okay.
So the $999.99 version, which by the way does also come in rose gold, has 8 gigabytes of RAM and a 128 gigabyte solid state drive.
Cool.
So yeah, you should be able to upgrade the SSD in the future if you want more storage. Just understand that the RAM you got is the RAM you got for the life of the machine.
Good to know.
Good to know.
So how about the Kaby Lake?
I like it.
You like it?
Day to day, the newer Core i7 is snappier. There's a bit more fan noise because it runs a little bit hotter, I think. But with computing intensive tasks, for example, video rendering, Big difference over my older PC. The Core i7-8550U pumped out 80 frames per second on handbrake. Now, my older XPS 13 was doing 40 frames per second. That's a 13-minute and 30-second-ish minute render time versus a 26-minute and 48-second render time.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
That's like 50% less time, or roughly a 200% bump in performance.
Yeah.
This is not entirely a fair comparison because my aging XPS has a half as much RAM and a Core i5 CPU. But folks that have tested the last gen Core i7-7500U versus the new 8550U in the Kaby Lake Refresh, they're saying the 8th gen CPU is about 60% faster.
What?
I'm going to call that a healthy bump.
That's nice.
It's because, it's not really that surprising because the Core i7-7500 only had 2 cores and 4 threads, and the 4th gen CPUs packed 4 cores and 8 threads.
Okay.
So
that explains it.
That explains it. Are you going to notice all those extra threads in everyday computing? Probably not as much if you have like that i7-7500. You know, a little bit more so if you're like me and have an older Core i5-6200U or something smaller and less oomphy in the processing power department, oomphy being a highly technical term. Oddly enough, though, it looks like the new processor gives the laptop a bit of a battery pump, maybe an extra hour, figure like 13 hours instead of 12 hours total. Okay. And I will never say no to more battery life. So the Intel Kaby Lake Refresh CPUs are showing up all over the place. Inspiron 5000s, the 7000 series, and we're going to be looking at the 7000 versus the XPS with the Kaby Lake Refresh in the near future.
Very cool.
You may be wondering, is there a new XPS 13 on the way? Why didn't they wrap an entirely new laptop around that new processor? Rumor has it we're going to see a new XPS 13 design at CES 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is, by the way, coming sooner than we want to think about.
Yeah.
Do you want to see us do more videos from CES 2018? What do you want us to cover at CES 2018? Email ask@tekthing.com or tweet
@Snoobs
or @PatrickNorton. We're listening. Do you want to be part of the crew that makes TekThing possible? Then please contribute to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you for your patronage. You make the show possible because you pay Shannon and I to do it directly. And if you can't donate, we understand. Keep sending in those emails, tweet @TekThing, or hit us up on Facebook. Thank you so much for supporting TekThing and Shannon and I, no matter how you do it. Some anonymous teenager on Earth, that's the name they used, has a great question. So, with the numerous hackers and breaches that occurred this year, I'd like to ask, what are some tips you have for security? I'm a teenager who loves the show, thumbs up, and is one of the seemingly few who actually care about digital security. With that in mind, I already use LastPass as my password manager. I use two-factor authentication wherever possible. I never use the same password for more than one site. And my passwords are 16 to 100 characters long, depending on how often I use them and when I made the account. I even have 2,048 character long passwords for my most vital accounts. That's so hardcore. Now, as I'm sure there's more I can do to secure my digital life, I'd like to have your guys' input on that. What else can I do, bearing in mind that I am a teenager? With that out of the way, I have one more question. What things can I do to improve my privacy online? I'm a stickler when it comes to privacy, or I try to be anyway. I always use a fake name on accounts that don't matter to me, i.e. something gaming site random that probably doesn't care about privacy.com. And I almost never give out my real phone number. I use a Google Voice number to keep it hidden to any online service. I also use a VPN, Go Proton VPN, whenever on untrustworthy networks, and occasionally Tor whenever I'm really worried about my privacy. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Sincerely, some anonymous teenager on Earth. Let me say this right now, some anonymous teenager on Earth, you are already really freaking secure.
Yes, you are. This is actually great timing. I just started my 30-day security challenge over on our YouTube channel and also on snubsy.com, which is my blog, that's going to walk you through a ton of recommendations that will help you with security. So you are already seriously killing it for security, more so than probably like 95% of users. So great job on that. You're doing awesome. For any devices, make sure you turn on auto updating and auto scanning for viruses, and make sure to turn off wireless whenever it's not in use. That's very important. Yes, because Wi-Fi pineapples are a thing. Same with Bluetooth and NFC as well. You could also switch your browser. I like Brave browser myself.
It's pretty awesome.
It's the one that I use on my smartphone every single day. It's really easy to use. Or you can also download tracker or ad blocking extensions for your current browser like Firefox and Chrome. I'm not sure which two-factor authentication that you're currently using, but if a site has it available, switch from SMS 2FA to app authentication or using a physical YubiKey instead. Those are a lot more secure than SMS. You could also start with PGP for your email, and there's a really awesome site for that. It's called keybase.io. That makes it very easy to set up a PGP, public and private key authentication for your email address. So then you can encrypt your things, which is super great. And then lastly, you could also update your VPN choice to a DIY version via OpenVPN. Of course, with any VPN, you don't know how that company is doing. Proton VPN, Proton is a really awesome company, so I bet they're doing it just fine. But if you are ever worried about a third party, you could create your own via OpenVPN and do OpenVPN Connect.
But then you can't do things like pretend you're in Canada so you can watch curling, or pretend you're in a different location so you can bypass other things.
Unless you have a server in a different country, so good luck with that.
And then your regular ISP will know exactly what you're doing over your VPN, but that's a whole nother awkward conversation.
Yes, it is. So if you want to upgrade your security game, like I said previously, I just started this whole 30-day security challenge. It's over on our YouTube at youtube.com/TekThing. I have been working really, really hard on putting this together, so I hope that everybody will appreciate it. You can join me for 30 days straight in November. I realize I'm going to be on vacation in November. Don't worry, I pre-recorded. So while we build up our security and privacy online, you can join me on this one step at a time. Each of these videos focuses on one aspect of security with resources, links, step-by-step guides, and background information on why I think it's important. So you can watch part 1 now, which is available over on our YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to our YouTube as well for the rest of them. I'm really, really excited about this because it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I finally sat down and did it.
Videos.
30 freaking videos. That's a lot of work. Look at them. I even made these pictures too. I'm so proud of myself.
Lock screens.
So proud of myself.
Internet of Things. VPNs. Passwords.
Let us know what you would recommend for anonymous teenager. You can comment below or you can tweet at TekThing.
Please do. Got an email from CRP who writes, the Hewlett-Packard historical archives were destroyed in the wine country fires. See that last line about archives online and no fireproof safes? CRP. Okay, so we're talking about Palo Alto Online. It's an article about the Hewlett-Packard historical archives that were destroyed in the wine country fires. Letters, speeches, and other irreplaceable documents burned in modular buildings.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
bad.
We're talking about 100 boxes, literally like records from 1937 to 1995, which is like the history of Hewlett-Packard. It's kind of like Hewlett-Packard is one of the epicenters that became like Silicon Valley. Kind of goes back to, you know, these guys in that garage.
Oh yeah.
You know, my first thought, by the way, is that most fireproof safes, at least the ones that consumers buy at big box stores, are pretty useless in a major blaze. Because when you talk about a really serious house fire or the nightmare that was been going on in Northern California, you're looking at like, you know, I want to say 2100, 2400 degree temperatures, and those tend to just vaporize everything, unless it's a really, really serious fire safe. But the problem is most residential security containers, which are what the safes that are sold to most people, are not particularly useful if fires burn out of control. They may work in lower heat fires, but when things burn to the foundation, the survival rate starts dropping. By the way, if you use one, make sure your documents are stored in waterproof containers, Ziploc bags at the least, because there's nothing sadder than finding that part of your house burned and your fire safe survived, but everything inside it was trashed because it got filled with water.
Yeah.
So as far as the HP thing goes, it's kind of a sad story, right? Because HP, they split off this, they split off that, and eventually stuff goes from like being in the big HP headquarters downtown in Palo Alto to modular buildings up in Santa Rosa. Now, HP's like, no, 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 it's not us. Keysight met, or I should say Keysight, who's currently holding the stuff up in Santa Rosa. Keysight met and exceeded the strictest standards for archival protection, including guidelines set by the United Nations and the Library of Congress. The archives are stored on metal shelving in archival quality folders inside damage-resistant archival boxes in a secure building with a sprinkler system at the company's Santa Rosa headquarters. Standard practice for archival collections. So this was a pretty unhinged fire. Like if there's a bell curve for wildfires, this is way out at the end.
Yeah.
We're talking about 8,000 structures burning in the Santa Rosa area, most of them in Santa Rosa, 40 dead at this point that they've found. And in most cases, whatever burned, it burned to the foundation, including most of the houses in my friend's neighborhood. And the papers that were lost were in modular buildings. So modular buildings are basically like, you know, bolted together buildings with asphalt roofs more likely than not, which are not particularly fireproof. So as the flame starts spreading, the buildings caught and everything inside burned because it was that kind of fire. That said, quote, archival materials stored 200 yards away in Quayside's glass, concrete, and metal buildings were not damaged.
Wow.
Yeah, so some parts of the collection survived because they were in other parts of the facility that were more fire resistant. Some docs did survive, mostly images. Lewis, one of the people working Quayside Technologies, told the Palo Alto Online, digital conversions of many of the papers was not possible for a number of reasons. Many were thin carbon paper copies kept by secretaries and would not have reproduced well by optical character recognition software. Others were on fragile papers that could not easily be scanned or microfilmed, and there was never the budget to scan all of the work.
Okay.
So I think it really comes down to, you know, you do your disaster prevention based on a typical scenario.
Yeah.
And then you kind of look at atypical scenarios. For example, the Constitution of the United States, I'm pretty sure it's designed that once it retreats and goes down into the vault, it's supposed to be like nuclear proof.
Oh, wow.
But that's like one of the rare copies of the Constitution of the United States. So they spent all the money in protecting that. What's unfortunate is that these documents hadn't been donated to a major university where they could have been transcribed and copied or something else. I think at one point they were talking about getting them to Stanford. You know, and it's something to think about. We've said it before. It has been an awful year for natural disasters, whether we're talking about floods or fires. So, CRP, good point. It's unfortunate they never had the budget to do this. It's even less fortunate that they didn't donate them to a major university where people would have, you know, graduate students and assistants would have piled over it and transcribed everything. If you have photos you need backed up, if you have memories you can't replace, back them up now.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Well, let's end it on a positive note.
Yes!
It is time to announce the winner of our NES giveaway.
Woo!
Yay! Thank you to everyone that entered. It was super, super fun to read all of your comments. Everybody really wanted one of these guys, so I'm really excited that I was able to give one away. If I can get a hold of an extra SNES Classic, I'll try to do another giveaway for that one as well, so stay tuned for that in the near future. Hopefully it happens. In the meantime, the winner was randomly selected from the last 3 TekThing episodes via TekThing.com, as well as over on our YouTube. So,
and the winner is...
And the winner is...
Ta-da!
John Lombardi, who says, I want to get one, but not for myself. I would love one, but my friend was heartbroken when she couldn't get one and has missed out on it every time they go back on sale. I would love to gift it to her so I can make her happy. That is so sweet. John, I've already sent you a message over on youtube.com/messages. That's where you can find all your messages on YouTube with information on us as far as how to send over your shipping info. I would love to get in contact with you through another social network, but then anybody could be John Lombardi. So we're gonna get in contact with you via youtube.com/messages.
How long does John have?
He has 48 hours to respond before we pick a new winner or we give this up to a charity. So make sure to send over that message as soon as possible. I can't wait to ship this out to you, and I hope that your friend really appreciates it when you gift it to her. I think that's awesome.
Yay.
That's so sweet. And P.S. I'm also going to be doing a meetup in Tokyo on November 18th, most likely. That's my birthday, so I was like, gotta do it on that day. So keep an eye on my Twitter account for information on that. I'm super excited about doing a meetup over there. The last time I did a meetup in Tokyo, it was so much fun. We went to karaoke. It was beautiful.
I bet there was drinking.
It was great.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, once in a while, put down the phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog like John, who writes, I spent Saturday enjoying the scenery of West Virginia. The first 2 picks are of the grist mill in Babcock State Park, and the third pick is an overlook at Hawks Nest State Park.
Gorgeous.
Nice, John.
So pretty. Thank you, John.
I actually saw a peregrine falcon driving in this morning.
Whoa.
in beautiful scenic Richmond.
That's cool.
Actually, it is
Beautiful
really,
scenic
really cool. Well, I will say, driving around Richmond with small children is awesome. Not as awesome as the scenery in rural West Virginia.
That's very true.
But there are trains driving through the streets and pirate ships.
Thank you for sending your analog pics, and you can always email us your other analog pictures over to ask@tekthing.com. We would love to feature them in a future episode.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. Will it be another karaoke hangout?
Karaoke! Yeah, we'll probably do like a brew pub or something like that, because brew pubs are a thing in Tokyo, apparently.
Not like one of the kitten petting, or what are the little...
Oh, the cafes.
Isn't there like a hedgehog
Cat
cafe?
There's a hedgehog cafe. There's an owl cafe. There's a rabbit cafe. I know this.
Rabbit cafe.
There's probably other cafes that I haven't discovered yet.
Tea
There are
and
maid
Angora
cafes.
rabbits. Perfect together.
I kind of want to force my friends that are coming with, well, my husband and my friend that are both joining me for this trip to go to like a maid cafe with me, just because I want to go. I want to experience one. It would sound so fun. I want to dance with the girls.
A maid cafe.
Yes! They're so cute. Oh my gosh.
Japan, where life is like anime.
Yep.
More so than you ever think.
So true.